I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star, and the point is not that we're ever going to get there, we're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards, and we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco.
It never fails, man. The left, who will tell you that each and every single white person on the planet is inherently racist, and if you're straight, you lose even more ground, and if on top of all that you're a Republican, then you're the most dangerous and despicable kind of racist that's even possible. The same people that believe that, they believe that they are somehow justified in calling Justice Clarence Thomas Uncle Thomas and things like that. They believe that they're justified in treating Black America as some sort of monolith that no matter what has got to pledge allegiance to the Democrat Party now and forever. I mean, they believe this. They completely and fully and totally believe this. And if you happen to be Black and you dare share a different opinion than they do, they're not going to hear you. And they will definitely not welcome you. You either do as you're told or you're the enemy. Even if you're a very accomplished author, even if you're a CNN contributor, even if you're a guy like Coleman Hughes, who, keep in mind, guys, this is not a Democrat. He believes in the Democrat Party still, somehow. But in today's Democrat Party, especially if you're Black, if you don't fit perfectly, then you don't fit at all.
The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use, Black and Hispanic identity as a proxy for disadvantage. And my argument is that you actually get a better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income. That picks out people in a more accurate way.
Not my question, but when you say that socioeconomics picks out people in a better way than race, when you do look at the socioeconomics, you see the huge disparity between white households and Black households. You see the huge disparity between white households and Hispanic households. So your argument, and I've read your book twice because I wanted to give it a chance, your argument that race has no place in that equation is really fundamentally flawed, in my opinion.
Well, there's two separate questions. One is whether each racial group is socioeconomically the same. That I agree with you. They're not.
They're not, and the stats show that.
But of course, I agree with that fully. The question is, how do you address that in the way that actually targets poverty the best?
Great.
And what Martin Luther King wrote in his book, Why We Can't Wait, is he called it, we need a Bill of Rights for the disadvantaged. And he said, yes, we should address racial inequality. Yes, we should address the legacy of slavery. But the way to do that is on the basis of class. And that will disproportionately target Blacks and Hispanics because they're disproportionately poor, but it will be doing so in a way that also helps the white poor, in a way that addresses poverty.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a very, very clear Republican white supremacist, which again, not to make a joke, but that's exactly what they think you are when you speak logically, and even when you quote Martin Luther King Jr. to do it. But here's the thing, man, this is nothing new. Racist economists have been using these same arguments as Sonny Hostin for at least a generation now, right? They frame it as it's the white man that's holding everybody else down. But in order to show this, in order to prove it, which is what they think they're doing, they only focus on essentially the Black and the Latin populations. They ignore Indian Americans and they ignore Asian Americans because they have to. If they don't play the whole racial shell game with your emotions, everything about their argument falls apart. And what they're asking for just doesn't make any sense. And what they're basically asking for are policies that depress this so-called white privilege, right? They want to take away certain advantages from certain people so they can affect some outcome fantasy that they all have. The problem with it is, and I think it's getting to be pretty clear to anyone who can do math at a 6th grade level, the problem is holding one group down does nothing to lift any other groups up. And all Coleman Hughes is saying is that Martin Luther King Jr. was right. If you focus on the disadvantaged instead of race, if you lift up the disadvantaged, you're going to help all of the disadvantaged, which in the end would have the result of actually helping in a very meaningful way the exact group of people that you claim to care about. But a couple things I think are true here. I don't think they actually care about the disadvantaged. And I don't think that this is a concept that Sonny Hostin, who's one of the greatest race baiters of her generation, will ever understand.
It's the thing to be addressed.
That part is true, but as you are a student of Dr. King, I'm not only a student of Dr. King, I know his daughter, Bernice, right? So I'm going to get to my question.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
I think the premise is fundamentally flawed. So rather than class, he did write about that earlier on. Right before his death, he made the argument for racial equality and racial reparations. And so your argument for color blindness, I think, is something that the right has co-opted. And so many in the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for a Republican.
You've said that you're a conservative.
No,
No, you did. You actually said that in a podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
Yes, yes, you did. So, but my question to you is, how do you respond to those critics?
Okay, let's give him let him answer.
First thing I think it's very important. The quote that you just pointed out about doing something special for the Negro. That's from the book Why We Can't Wait that I just mentioned.
Yes.
A couple paragraphs later, he lays out exactly what that something special was,
Yes.
and it was the Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged, a broad class-based policy.
But he also says you must include race.
No, he didn't. He says it's
Yes, he does.
Okay, well, everyone should go read the book Why We Can't Wait. Let's not get...
Think about what you just heard there, man. Sonny Hostin tells him, essentially I agree with you, but none of your views are credible because some Black people think that you're a charlatan who's used by the right, which of course, I would assure you that no one actually thinks that. And if anyone does think it, they only think it because of people just like Sonny Hostin telling them so. The same Sonny Hostin who, in order to make even this lazy point, needs to lie to her audience about the guy's political affiliation, as if that has any bearing at all on what he's actually saying. But of course, in the audience of The View, it does, because if you're a Republican, then by default, you're just evil and you're wrong and you're dangerous, which is actually pretty funny considering that this whole conversation is about the hopes and the dreams and the ideas of Martin Luther King Jr., who, again, Sonny Hostin lies to her audience about what Dr. King himself actually wrote. After trying to impress us that she knows his daughter, like, who cares who Sonny Hostin knows? Obviously, this is not a serious woman, but I'll keep going, guys. But make sure to help the channel continue to grow so we can reach as many of these people as possible. If you're enjoying it, hit the like button.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me with no evidence that I've been co-opted.
I want to give you the opportunity to respond to the,
I appreciate
the criticism.
I appreciate it. There's no evidence that I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
Do you
Okay, hold on. We got to go to break.
Whoopi just jumps in to rescue. The guy gave a really great response. He says, no one's paying me to say this. No one's paying me to be here. I'm saying it because I actually believe it to be true, which I think is something Sonny Hostin probably hasn't been able to credibly say for decades, many, many decades. But just think about her entire angle here. Some people I can't name and I can't quote think you're a sellout race traitor. I just wanted to give you the chance to respond to that. I mean, this is a horrible, horrible person, man. But unfortunately, there are more horrible people just waiting in the wings.
I have a question, because you write that the anti-racism movement, there are a couple of people, I don't even know who they are. Maybe you know
Robin DiAngelo.
Robin DiAngelo,
Yeah.
Ibram Kendi, for instance.
Okay. Well, you say that is just another form of racism, and you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things? You talk about anti-racism, you're comparing it to white supremacy.
Because they both view your race as an extremely significant part of who you are. So white supremacists, they obviously say, we all know what they say, okay? Neo-racists like Rob DiAngelo, they say that to be white is to be ignorant, for example. Well, this is a racial stereotype, and I want to call a spade and say this is not the style of anti-racism we have to be teaching our kids. We should be teaching them that your race is not a significant feature of who you are. Who you are is your character, your value, and your skin color doesn't say anything about that.
That's actually misrepresenting what Robin DiAngelo's position is.
It's in her book.
But
Just look at how serious Joy Behar takes her duty as party propagandist, man. She doesn't even take the time to understand the question that she's supposed to ask the guy. Doesn't even research who the people she's referencing are. doesn't even have the decency to at least fake it for the audience. She just reads off the words and looks like a total dummy. And when she starts looking dumber than Sonny, Sonny jumps back in because you can't have that. And Sonny says, oh, she never said that. And the guy's like, well, she actually did. She not only said it, but she wrote it and she just left it there for all of us to see for all time. And honestly, I think this young guy, he's got a great demeanor. He knows that he's smarter than every single one of these women combined. And I think he's probably having a pretty good time. I mean, the audience is with him for sure. And I'm with him. You know, he said it in the intro. If our goal is to move towards a colorblind society, then we're going in the wrong damn direction. But that's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. And if you haven't already, be a part of the growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.